Hey guys, one of the reasons I do this free podcast is hoping you will come see me do live stand-up comedy. I got some dates for you. August 3rd, I'm at the Wiltern Theater in Los Angeles with the one and only Adam Carolla. Come see me August 3rd at the Wiltern Theater with Adam Carolla in Los Angeles. August 16th, I go all the way up to Wisconsin. I'm going to be with all my friends in Milwaukee. August 16th, come see me at the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. August 16th, Pabst Theater, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Very next night, August 17th, Detroit, Birmingham, Bloomfield. Where are you at? August 17th, I'm at the Royal Oak Theater in Detroit. August 17th, I'm at the Royal Oak Theater in Detroit. And then, my friends, oh yeah, September 19th, Stand Up Live in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona, September 19th, I'm at Stand Up Live. Go to jaymohr.com if you wish to buy tickets. Please come see me. All my shows are meet and greet. Buy a t-shirt. Shake my hand. Let's do it. Let's just have fun with our lives and have a little laughs. Hope to see you guys out there. I love you.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Welcome back to More Stories. This is episode 6412-A5.2 001 002 for my binary code friends. Billy Baldwin in the house.
Sounds like a star date number before Star Trek.
Captain's log.
Captain's log.
Captain's log.
00597 AZ.429.
Did he have a toupee, William Shatner, then? It looks pretty cool. It doesn't look like a lid. It looks like it's his hair, because now he's very famous for having the rug on his head, Shatner. Do you think he had a toupee during Star Trek?
He's famous for a lot of things.
Such as?
Well,
I replaced Captain Pike.
First of all, the original hair has got to be the real deal. It's thin, it's wispy, it works. It was working in the early years. He has a sensational rug. It's the best. Him and Elton John did it right. When Elton John had his first rug, he looked like Pete Rose. It was a mess. It was like peppermint patty hair. It looked like he had Down syndrome. Yeah. Not a good look. And then he tightened it up into like regular person hair. It's amazing. They have like hair surgery for these guys.
But, talk about, I love, nothing makes me more excited and I think is cooler than people that find ways to be relevant in show business again, over and over and over again. And like every 5-10 years, not that they need to like do a Madonna and reinvent themselves, but they find a way to like wiggle their way back into the business and be relevant again. I mean, this guy did it in the 60s. He did it in the 70s. He did it in the 80s.
Shatner?
Yeah, Shatner. I mean, between the Practice.
Yeah,
between Boston
him and James
Legal,
Spader,
his musical career,
and Matty Boy has a good point.
And the Priceline spots, not all of them. Some of them are a little bit off, but some of them are pretty brilliant.
I think Matty Boy had a salient point. Let's not get too far away. And I'm not making a joke. Shatner speaking classic songs like Mr. Tambourine Man. I know it's like a joke, and we all make fodder. It's comedic fodder. But when you really watch it, it was my wife that said to me, the fucking confidence to go out and sit there with a cigarette and go, Mr. Tambourine Man, I'm a rocket man.
Not a lot of people can pull that off.
And at the time, we didn't think he was pulling it off. In hindsight, not only did he pull it off, it's amazing. And his album, Shatner's, that was produced by Ben Folds, from Ben Folds 5, he does Common People by Pulp, and he destroys the original Common People. And he just talks the whole album. And then Joe Jackson comes in and sings the chorus.
I'm a big fan of his, a great admirer of his. The fact that he's like still standing, still relevant, still matters, still has a career, 5 decades later. It's like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, thousands, it's like remarkable.
I think a lot of guys, I think you have to say, yes, I have a wig. It's hilarious. Let's move on. And then America goes, oh, okay, fine. And then they actually forget that you wear a wig. Would you agree with that?
I forgot until you just reminded me. But
Yeah.
I didn't really, not that I forgot, I just never really, I hadn't been thinking about it lately.
But like, there's people with wigs and you're like, ooh, like Tony Curtis walking around with that geranium on his head. Jerry Jones, owner of the Cowboys. You go, really, dude? I can see the crease. There's glue on your face.
The weird thing is when you don't have one, but it looks like you have one, like Trump.
Like me.
Like Trump.
You take a photo with me, it looks...
By the way, what's up with Trump picking on this little girl from Pennsylvania and the court ruled that this girl has to pay him $5 million in damages? Now, she was a contestant.
I don't know anything about
Yeah, she was a contestant in the Miss Universe contest. She made some accusation against Miss Universe and the Trump organization about how they're sort of manipulating the situation behind the scenes. He's going to say, you better lawyer up. I'm going to bury you. Your career is over. And now they rule in court that this girl's got to pay him $5 million. And let me tell you something. I was a judge at Miss Universe with Chaz Palminteri, my wife China, a group of other people. I was there. And what this girl says that Trump does behind the scenes, let me just leave it at this, that when I was there, let's just say that Trump led the witness very, very seriously behind closed doors with the jury before the competition started.
Really?
He let his opinions be known about who he liked. He let his opinions be known.
I think Miss Rhode Island... I don't know how to do a Donald Trump impression.
So of course,
Maddie,
now he's going to say, Billy Baldwin better lawyer up. I'm going to bury him.
Yeah, I think he hates your whole family, doesn't he? Yeah. Or does he like the Baldwins?
It's got to be a love-hate because he keeps flogging my brother Steven on The Apprentice, Celebrity Apprentice Part 9.
Well, Steven's the Christian Baldwin. You're the uber hot Baldwin. Alex the sweaty Baldwin. Right? I don't know how I got that moniker, Jay. I always like to think of myself as the Saturday Night Live Baldwin.
Yeah, he's one of the kings of SNL. He and Steve Martin, I guess, and you, of course.
Sure.
So I guess. But I'm sort of the tall, thin, good-looking, talented, intelligent one, and all the rest are all the rest.
Why don't you act more?
I do work. You know the way the business works right now. I'm working a lot, but it's just not. I mean, think about it. You go to the movies now to see a studio movie from Paramount or Warner Brothers. There's kids in it that I don't even know. You follow because you have to be.
No, I don't. I don't know who they are.
I'm not going to the movies, and because a lot of it is, Marvel comic and some 70s TV show that's retreaded, and it's Batman 19.
A robot came out of the ocean to take
and
LA.
It's all CGI.
Yeah.
And the market for independent films got killed. All the financing got killed after the collapse in 2008 and 2009. So that's where I make my living, is doing television, doing long form television like miniseries and also in independent films. I just actually was told by my agent last night that I was going to be offered a little indie that's going to shoot me the same story, great part, great script. You're not getting paid. So they're doing these little indies for like the usual $3, $4, $5 million, and they're trying to put it on the screen. And
all the actors get now to the listener, they'll go, "That's great," but they'll go like, "It's $25,000, it's 4 weeks."
Even if you get Schedule F, if you get like $75,000 and you got to pay 25% in commission if you have a manager, a lawyer, and an
tax
agent,
48%.
then you get taxed. So then say you get $100,000. I'm making these numbers. Say you get $100,000. You pay commissions, you got $75,000. You pay taxes, you got $50,000. And $50,000, not knowing every time I finish a job, the day after I'm back on the unemployment line.
Yeah.
I could be working in 2 months. I could be working in 20 months. I don't know.
Do you think, I'm being serious, do you think being a Baldwin, because it's like Kennedy without all the horrible things happening to the family, knock wood, Kenahura, but I think sometimes being a Baldwin actually hurts you. Do you ever think that? If you did internal affairs and you did your early work, and you were always good, but your name was, Reeves Samuel. You were just some guy, some like hot guy from Long Island. Do you think you'd work more? Do you think it ever works against you?
I don't know if it ever cost me a job. I know there's times where I kind of get lumped in.
Is there a casting director that goes like, if we get Alec Baldwin for this, that'd be great. And then it's like, we can't get Alec. Can we get Billy? And then after Billy, you get Danny. After Danny, you get Steven.
No, I know that this happened a couple times where I've told my brother Alec I got offered this. He's like, oh, yeah. You should do that. You should do that. That'd be great. I was like, the project? He goes, yeah. I go, how do you know? And he goes, well, they offered it to me last week. I'm like, what are you telling me to do it for if you turned it down? He's like, well, that would be good for you. You should do that. It's a great part for you. It's not right for me now, whatever. But basically, it's, he can afford to say no to it. But
Do
he
you guys
thinks
still
that I
have the
should do it.
Baldwin Bowl on Thanksgiving?
Well, we have the.
It was famous.
We
famous.
have the Baby Jesus Bowl on Christmas. The
Okay.
He Has Risen Bowl on Easter.
What does the Baby Jesus, for the listener, what does that entail? What happens? A football game?
They're all football games on the Peninsula Golf Course in Massapequa. It's a little 9-holer down in Nassau Shores where we grew up. We lived right on the third hole, on the third fairway. I'd be sitting in my bedroom and balls would, if you sliced it off the tee, it would plunk off the roof of my house.
When I sit in my bedroom, a lot of balls fly over my head too. Different reason.
Yeah.
Just dudes standing on my bed, the balls flapping around.
Flopping on your chin? Or
Hopefully.
So we play the Baby Jesus on Christmas. Segue.
Okay.
And we play the He Has Risen on Easter. And we play the Turkey Bowl on Thanksgiving.
Now, are there enough Baldwins to have two teams, or do you bring in?
Oh, no,
friends?
we bring in. We
Kevin
used to bring
Connolly
in
comes
all the guys.
all
from-
Long Island talent.
Yeah.
Pat Benatar.
Yeah, we bring in, R.J. Sweeney and Bubba Rendy and Craig McCarthy and Chris Bevilacqua and all the boys
These
from the
neighborhood guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what shows these guys are.
Yeah. No, we bring in all the boys from the neighborhood.
Friends. Well, if I'm in New York in one of those bowls, do I get an invite?
No doubt. Yeah, of course.
Right, 'cause I'm good. I put some pads on somebody, man.
Yeah, no, that we haven't played that in quite a while because we're not really together on the holidays anymore. But it's sort of half the family, and we don't live on Long Island anymore. My mother lives up in the Finger Lakes, and we go up there to see my mother. And at Christmas time, it's about 80 below up there, so we don't.
Oswego? Which Finger
My
Lake?
mother
is
lives
near?
in Skaneatlas.
It's beautiful up there.
Yeah,
It really is nice.
I leave on the 24th. I'm there for a month.
That's going to be nice too.
Yeah.
You little lake living.
But let me ask you something.
Yes,
When we get
sir.
back to that tweet and the home, and this has nothing to do with my brother. This is you and I having a conversation. Has there ever been a time, you're a Jersey guy, has there ever been a time where somebody said, this whole First Amendment thing, which I'm a great proponent of, but people can say whatever the hell they want.
Yes.
As soon as you touch them, you can't do that. So you're arrested for assault, arrested for battery. You can't touch somebody. But isn't there a time where you, like, my friends and people that I know have said things to me that I'd rather them punch me in the face than say what they said. What they said was far more hurtful and far more damaging than if they'd hit me across the head with like a nightstick.
So what's the question?
The point is that there's been a couple of times where people said stuff to me.
On Twitter?
No, I don't have Twitter. I don't have Twitter.
Oh, okay.
The people have said stuff to me, and I couldn't touch them, and the only thing I could use was a comeback. I could only say something. Now, what I said and what I whispered in their ear was not something that is politically correct at all or acceptable, and I don't even feel that way.
Right.
They pissed me off and they hurt me at my core, and I just wanted to try to find the simplest 3 words or 2 or 3 little sentences to whisper in their ear to try and throw a haymaker back at them or level the playing field or get to them the way they got to me. And that doesn't necessarily mean at all that it was totally politically incorrect, especially in today's culture where everything is totally politically incorrect.
Whatever
but
the person
I said
was,
something because I wanted to get them. I don't think that. I don't believe that. I don't feel that way at all. I just wanted to piss them off.
Right.
Do you get that?
I do get that. And that's what I was like groomed on like stoops in Manhattan with like Patrice O'Neill, Jim Norton, Bill Burr. Like we just destroyed each other all the time. So I don't get that, like friends coming and saying hurtful things to me. But why are your friends saying hurtful things to you is a better question.
I'm not even talking about like my come on. How many siblings do you have?
2 older sisters.
That's a little different. There's 6 of us, and I have older brothers, and like older brothers say, my brother Alec he's got a tongue that's like a ginsu, man. He could do surgery with it, and sometimes some stuff comes out of his mouth, and I'd rather him pop me in the face. Than
It
say
is
some of the stuff that he
amazing,
says.
your brother Alec. It seems like there's no one near him. I think that's what wives are for, because wives do become your de facto manager. They do manage and produce you. If you marry the right woman, they can go, you might want to reread that email before you send it out. Because left to our own devices, we're like, dear so-and-so, why don't you go fuck yourself?
Right.
Your wife's a whore and your kid's cross-eyed, go kick rocks. And then your wife goes, no, you know what? Just tell him you like him and tell him you understand that you just agree to disagree. And then you send that one instead. Alec, who's super famous, a gazillionaire, there seems to be no one telling Alec, that's a really bad idea to say that, Alec. That don't say that. He doesn't ever shy away from a good verbal battle.
Yeah, we'll
especially
see. After
political
this time,
stuff.
Well, I admire him for that.
Why?
Yeah, because I stand up and I don't have the platform that he does, but I stand up and fight for what I believe in politically too. And
why is it that the guy on the street can get super involved in his community, but the minute a Baldwin or myself has a political stance, like if I say, hey, I love Gavin Newsom, I'm like excited for the first time in my life that there's a guy waiting in the wings in California that I actually think can do some real damage around here in a good way in Gavin Newsom. And I will get destroyed by like the Blaze website, who's I'm actually pretty good friends with. Everyone will call me a liberal douchebag faggot, and it goes on and on. Like, I can't. Why don't celebrities, why are we stripped? I'm talking about Baldwin, I'm putting myself in your category. Why do celebrities or people in the public, why aren't we allowed to have political opinions? Why are we so crucified?
No, we are allowed to, and we do, and it's our First Amendment right, just like everybody else's.
But
the
why
difference
are we
is
called
we have a currency.
assholes?
We have a currency that they don't, called celebrity and fame, and we leverage that to our advantage. It's a real currency. I can get on all of those political talk shows before half the members of the Senate and 3/4 of the members of the House. When I was the president of the Creative Coalition, I was getting offers to do that like 3-4 times a week, to either do it in New York or go down to Washington, D.C. That's a political organization. It's writers, directors, producers, and actors.
Creative Coalition.
And I was on the board for 10 years, and I was the president for 5 years. And I could get on any of those shows. Chris Matthews, Bill Maher, CNN, Larry King, I could get on any of them, not just during the conventions. Before.
And then O'Reilly and Hannity will have you on because they think they're going to just chop you up.
No. O'Reilly would have me on, and when we were done, he would ask me to host the show when he went on vacation. He loved me. He totally
like O'Reilly
respected me, and he
too.
totally loved me, and he was very cool to me. But I think this part of it is that we have this currency that most others don't have, including elected officials, and it drives people batty. And we live in such a red state, blue state culture right now, and that's the problem. You should be able to say that, and people should respect that, just like you respect their opinion, even if it differs with yours. And we live in this, this hyper blue state, red state culture right now, and we got to do something about it. It's got to get better because
how can there only be two colors? There's 12 houses of the zodiac, and that's hit or miss. So how can a civilized society that should be intelligent think that the country can run at a premium level with just two separate points of view?
Look, there was a time in New York City where there was like 15, 20 daily newspaper publications, and now there's 3. There was a time where there were multiple parties, and now we're down to 2. This is what it's come down to. We have people make a serious move, like basically Ross Perot, got Bill Clinton elected, and Ralph Nader got George Bush, the young George Bush elected. Ralph Nader took votes away from Al Gore, and Ross Perot took votes away from George Bush Sr., and that was a major third-party move. And I would love to see a very vibrant 3 or 4 party system. I don't see it happening anytime soon, and perhaps not even in my lifetime. It's a shame.
It always seems like, and we're not going to talk about politics. We got to talk about Cindy Crawford, your beautiful wife, China, your kids, your life in Long Island, your life in Santa Barbara, growing up Baldwin, who's the weirdest member of your family. It seems like, and I only ask you this because you are deep into politics and your brother's deep into politics, and it's a very political family. Would you agree?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely.
But it seems, if you told me what the Democrats stand for and sold me on the Democrats, and then I went across the street to the Republican guy, he would tell me the exact same thing. Like, we want smaller government, less crime. We want people to have a good education. We want to create jobs. Neither party is saying, we want less jobs, and we want hungry people, and we want you to pay a lot of taxes. Like, it's kind of the same sales pitch, no?
Well, I mean, in some ways, the parties have come together, and the pitch sounds the same. I think the new Democratic Party since Clinton is to provide a responsible social safety net, and there's a pendulum has swung to the right with fiscal policy, with financial and economic policy. So they sound similar when it comes to the perspective of economic policy, but when it comes to social issues and the culture wars, they're still pretty divided.
All right. I don't want to lose people because people don't want to talk about politics.
Right.
That's not why they came here. Fair game, Cindy Crawford. I don't know. I had no problem with it. It got killed. You guys were like the two hottest people on the planet at the time. You and Cindy Crawford, when you were making the movie, are you going like, oh, wow, Cindy Crawford, she can't really talk? Or were you thinking, she can act pretty good, this should be all right?
First of all, this is a long time ago.
How long ago are we talking?
This is 95.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's talk about something else.
No.
When you were in Forgetting Sarah Marsh.
I will say I was friends with her for years and years before we did the movie together.
I bet.
And she's a terrific, terrific woman. If I were asked seriously tomorrow, and this is I'm totally serious when I say this, I was asked to do a film opposite her. I don't think she would do it, but if I was asked to play the lead opposite her tomorrow, even if it was Fair Game 2, and Joel Silver were directing, and Joel Silver were producing, and we had a good director, it was a decent script, I would do it. I don't think the problem with that film was Cindy Crawford at all. I mean, it was an action. It was a Warner Brothers Joel Silver action movie. Cindy had to run around with a gun in her hand. Both and I had to be in shape and run around and look good, and we did that. The problem with that film was there was a little bit of holes in the script, and the director was a first-time director that everybody warned me about, and then I sent everybody, all my agents, all my managers, all my lawyers, and I said, watch this. When I sent them the short film that this guy had made, that was sort of a Scorsese Raging Bull kind of a short ripoff. It was really brilliant. And every one of my representatives called this kid, asked for a meeting, and they signed him. They enthusiastically endorsed my participation in the film, and they actively pursued this kid to sign him as a client, and they did. And he screwed the movie up. I'm blanking out on his name. I can't even remember his name. But the guy who directed that film, he blew it. Not Cindy Crawford.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with it.
I mean, imagine you working on a movie and you're directing Cindy Crawford and I on the film, and you come to the set every day for 4 months, and after 2 weeks, you don't say hello or goodbye or good morning or good night or give Cindy Crawford any direction, not one word, not one note. You don't say a word to her from the time she gets there till the time she leaves.
Why
do
you think
months.
You didn't do it?
I don't know. He just was. She had her acting coach there, and her acting coach and myself, this guy Leonard Peters, and myself and Cindy had to form our own camp to sort of protect her in her first film, and he just completely alienated the two leads in the cast, and I don't know why. He was pissed or he was jealous or.
But you brought up a really
he had a nervous
point.
breakdown or what?
Oh, we did. Oh, let's talk about that. What?
I don't know. I think Joel Silver.
Joel will give anybody a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, it could be. But anyway,
Joel Silver talked me into doing the show Action, which I know that sounds weird because it's a great show, but I didn't want to do it. I had a couple movies. It was Jerry Maguire, Picture Perfect, Go, and I'm like, I wrote my ticket. I'm going to be a hot shit. And they kept bringing me in. I just didn't want to do TV. That's when I had options, and I had some heat.
Nice thing to have, options.
Yeah. And I'm like, I just don't want to do TV. Like, I'm Suicide Kings. And I'm working with Walken and Pacino and Simone and Eddie Murphy. And then I have a meeting with Joel Silver. This is our second meeting, and I keep telling him no. And he goes, why don't you want to do this? It's so good. It's so funny. Jonathan Demme's going to direct the first one. Like, the directors were all lined up. Everything was great. You can have Buddy Hackett play your uncle. I don't care if that's going to make you happy. I'm like, I just don't want to do TV. Go, Suicide Kings, Simone. He goes, who are you, Parker fucking Posey? I'm offering you a giant check and you want to go be Mr. Independent Movie? What are you fucking Parker? He called me Parker Posey. He called me and then I go, oh no, I'm not Parker Posey. I'll do it. And I'm very glad I did it. So for all his faults, which I'm not really sure.
You could offer that again right now. Do you do it or no?
Action?
In a heartbeat.
You fucking kidding me?
Yeah, because
one of the best shows of all time.
The window of opportunity is like narrowing right now. You know what I mean?
Oh no, it's closed.
Yeah, you don't.
I've parlayed 40 movies into AM radio. I went about this completely the opposite way. You're supposed to start in the newsroom and become the corner office guy. I had a corner office, and now I'm in the newsroom, and
that happens quick in Hollywood.
I'm the fucking coolest guy in the newsroom.
But it's all about relevancy. I mean, another one of my, this is not to bore your audience, but another one of my favorite examples is Sally Field. I mean, this woman's on The Flying Nun in the 60s and the 70s.
Gidget.
And then she's in like what's the film she did with Norma Ray and
Norma
Oscar
Ray, she won the
nominations
Oscar.
and I think Absence of Malice and Hooper and all of these box office and Academy Awards.
But
then
then
she gets quiet again.
No,
then
before she gets quiet, she goes completely sideways and does Smokey and the Bandit movies. She's
right,
in,
but they were the biggest thing at the box office at the time. Who cares if they were bad movies and they tanked?
she
That's
went
one
from-
thing.
she went
That's
from
when Burt Reynolds was number one.
I know, but she went from and I'm saying this complimentary because I love Sally Field. She went from Academy Award winning Norma Ray to being in a movie like me and Burt Reynolds are going to get chased by the cops in a Trans Am. Like that's the movie,
Right, but
That's
remember,
the
she
pitch.
goes from Zhizhit and the Flying Nun, and she's like 15 or 16 or 17.
Yeah.
And then she does the Burt Reynolds action pictures. She does the Oscar nomination pictures. It gets a little quiet. Then
Real
she
quiet.
does Brothers and Sisters for like 8 years. She does like 120 episodes.
And no one sees that show.
Then she takes a little bit of time off, and now Steven Spielberg casts her as Mary Todd opposite Daniel Day-Lewis in one of the biggest movies of the year, and she's playing opposite Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean,
And
this
huge
woman did
problem-
it in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the thousands, the teens. I mean, 6 decades this woman has mattered.
And I got a good Sally
Awesome.
Fields Saturday Night Live story for you too at the tail end of this. But there's a huge problem with her playing Mary Todd Lincoln because initially I forget who it was going to be, but it was going to be somebody way older than Daniel Day-Lewis. And I think you'll know, was Abraham Lincoln like 14 years older?
Then Mary Todd, yeah.
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 So she was perfect because it was I don't know who, maybe it was fucking Liam Neeson. It was somebody like that, Jeremy Irons. It was like an older guy, and it would have worked. But it was Daniel Day-Lewis. He's like, 18 years younger than Sally Field. She still fucking hangs in there.
Yeah.
They can't get rid of her. She's too good.
She's way older than Daniel Day-Lewis, right? At least 10 years. Is it not 18, is it? Is it 18?
No, I don't know. I exaggerate to clarify.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, she's supposed to be way younger. She's way older. They keep her. Angela Lansbury, same thing with, people don't realize. They just know Murder, She Wrote. I mean, she's in the fucking Sinatra movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Manchurian Candidate, she played that guy's mom. They were the same age. Did you know that?
No.
Lawrence Harvey, was that his name?
Yeah.
Lawrence Harvey and Angela Lansbury were the same age. Sally Field, when I was on Saturday Night Live, she was hosting, and she was cool, and she was just like a sweet lady. She'd come in, you're at the writer table, and she'd like just massage your shoulders, like, what are you working on, hon? And she really wanted to know, and you're like, oh, I was just drawing dicks. Because it's like I don't have an idea in my head. We're in the pitch meeting in Lauren's office, and Ellen Cleghorn goes, I have this character called Zoraida. This is when you pitch the host on your recurring characters or on great ideas that you have. And Ellen Cleghorn, like no one has any ideas. Mid-season, everyone's like, goes through their fake pitch, and they got to figure out what to write. Kevin Nealon was the king of the fake pitch. Mm-hmm. His fake pitch was always, I have this idea where a guy has a house at the top of one of those runaway truck ramps, and you're the guy that lives in the house, and then at dinner time, like a truck comes like crashing through your living room, But I got some other stuff I'll talk to you about later. But I realized early on, everybody's fake pitch was better than my real pitch. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time to realize I'm also working with Billy Baldwin on something. And everybody just goes, oh, okay. We haven't fleshed it out yet. I thought you had to give them like your whole sketch. Anyway, Ellen Cleghorn, we all pitched into Sally Field. She's like, okay, she's very nice, super kind, like the nicest lady.
Yeah.
And Ellen Cleghorn goes, I got this character called Zoraida, the phone page. And she goes, I've seen it. That's where you have all the jokes. And I just stand there like an idiot.
Oh, really?
And icicles formed on the walls. It was
Good stuff.
She
Good stuff.
fucking took her to the woodshed.
What was my brother like in the writing room? He was hands-on, very active, right?
Your brother's the best guest host. Steve Martin doesn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, my brother liked to get in there with you guys and try to
and he's there to 4 in the morning like us, and he goes, it'd be funny. If we are going to be Boy Scouts, somebody should burn themselves on the fire. You never hear about that. There's always that one kid that he's so stupid he gets too close to the flames. There should become a 3rd-degree burns. Like, oh, we made s'mores. Look at Jimmy. That's a terrible example. But your brother, and there's good versions of that and bad versions. John Travolta came in with a full notebook, and every page had a flushed out sketch. And he goes, I also have an idea where I would be a Hasidic Jewish detective. And that's a real one that he said. and we all laugh at his face, and he's just completely serious. And then he goes, turns the page, gives you another example. When you go, hey, do you have any ideas? You're supposed to go, nah, I'm good. Whatever you guys want to do is cool with me. But Alec would go, I've always wanted to play one of those guys that dress up in bear suits at the circus. And it's just funny.
And you guys loved it.
Yeah. But then other guys come in, like John Travolta with like a geranium, talk about wigs. With it, now he actually Sharpies his hair on. And they have like crazy ideas.
Billy Joel. The can of spray paint.
Another Long Island guy, Billy Joel, driving his car through living rooms.
Yeah, he used to sweat during the show, and like the shoe polish would come sweating down across his face and everything.
Kevin Nealon's fake pitch would have worked perfect if Billy Joel was driving the truck.
That's a very good point. Billy Joel drives a car.
Bringing it full circle.
Matty Boy's good.
Matty.
We had on
Closing
Twitter,
the loop there.
On Twitter, people said, would you just get Matty Boy a fucking mic already? Because I'd go, oh, did you hear what Matty Boy just said? It was really funny, except to repeat it.
You should. Why don't we do that?
He's holding one, numbskull.
Okay, if you're going to laugh into the mic so people know that you think I'm funny. Right on cue, ladies and gentlemen. Right on cue.
Your wife, seems like whenever I speak to you, you tell me a different reason why your wife hates you.
No, it's
whether it's your breath,
it's a harsh word.
All right,
but we got a good thing. I mean, I've been with my old lady for 23 years, and the greatest test of my faith to my wife was like right when we got engaged or right before we got married. That little window is when I did Fair Game. So that's a real test. To go off for 4 months with Cindy Crawford and go do a movie with the lovely, luscious Cindy. Not that she was interested in me.
Sure she was.
But
hottest woman in the world? Hottest one we've had?
This sounds so crazy to say this, but I swear I was not paid to say this. More beautiful on the inside. Really, really cool lady and very, very bright. Great person, big heart, and she's as beautiful as I just lost. Hear that sucking sound? It's all your audience out there.
No, they want to know
because she's incredibly. I've said that she knows it. People have told her that I said this about her before. Put it this way: if I were standing on a cliffside on the ocean with my wife holding hands, and like a strong, brisk breeze were to blow, and my wife were to go over, the first phone call I would make would be Cindy Crawford.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to push your wife.
Well, I didn't say that. I said it without saying it.
You did not say that.
No, I didn't say it.
I'm supporting you.
Where's the mic, Matty?
Yeah, you are laughing.
Matty, you missed that one, man. Come on. I'm hearing that Muttley.
I like how what takes your wife off a cliff isn't like a gust wind. You said a brisk breeze. A brisk breeze. That sounds like a drink for inner city youths. If you can't afford a high five, get yourself some brisk breeze. Go to jaymohr.com, click the Amazon banner. A lot of you guys have an Amazon on your toolbar. If you want to buy things at Amazon, it'll say Amazon on your toolbar on your computer. Clear your cookies. I've been told that. I don't know what it means to this day. And instead of having an Amazon tool on your toolbar, have it say jaymohr.com on your toolbar. Anytime you want to shop for an Amazon product, click the jaymohr.com. The first page of my website, right there, there's a huge Amazon banner. You click that. Sorry.
You got agita? What's going on?
I'm a little verklempt. I'm very excited about this Amazon
effect
banner.
On people. Oh, it's Amazon? I thought it was me.
Amazon. And you can buy Fair Game DVD, and you can see how a director ruined a movie with Billy Baldwin and Cindy Crawford. And if you buy something, I will read it on the website. Here's our friend Ronald Brandt. Hey, JJ, I just went through your site to Amazon, picked up a Nikon D3 100 DSLR camera, nerd, and various camera accessories. I desperately needed an upgrade from my crappy point and shoot so that I could get good shots and videos of my new baby boy. I love this. Who will be arriving in August. I'm born in August, so he'll have a new fan before too long as he'll be listening to your podcast with me while I'm doing the stay-at-home dad gig next year. Ooh. My wife and I saw your show in West Hampton last month. It was awesome. Tell your wife we love the new material. By the way, we had a great time and look forward to seeing you again if you ever decide to come back. All the best, Ron Brandt. Ronnie Brandt, Mohr, love it. Thank you, brother. Yeah, West Hampton was fun. That's a nice little theater out there.
Baby coming up next month for this guy. So let's talk about third trimester sex. What was that like for you?
Red hot.
Good stuff, right?
The hottest. Yeah. Hotter than any
You can
sex.
induce labor with that.
You're cheating on your skinny wife.
Yeah.
That's what Wayne Corbett told me.
Yeah, I love that. Wayne Corbett.
I love it. It's like I'm cheating on my skinny wife.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good way of looking at it.
Third trimester sex for you?
Yeah, third trimester sex. Well, there's first trimester sex that it's sort of, fair game. anything. That was a little.
Well, Jay, I guess you could say Billy Baldwin's third trimester sex was fair
and then
game.
second trimester starts to limit your options, and then third trimester sex is a lot of fun, very limited options.
It'll lay on your side.
Yeah, well, not always, but
Walk us through it. What's the other option? Standing up?
Yeah, you still, yeah. Well,
make believe this is a letter to Playboy, letter to Penthouse, and you're going to explain how you had sex with your wife in the
you
third
could do it from the side with the leg lift, and you could do it, That's what my wife calls it when I have like medicinal sex. See, when you're together 23 years, medicinal sex, like if I'm driving her crazy, I'm climbing the wall, she knows I need to get laid. And she's like, got to take one for the team. She's not in the mood. She doesn't have time. She just does. She's like, all right, come on, get over here. I'm going to bed right now. Don't disturb me. I'll just give you the leg lift. Get it over with. And
like
it's Maddie, the mic is up. I'm waiting.
I'm curious. The leg lift, is that standing? Is that laying? Like what?
It's on the side. The
like
leg
a dog
lift.
peeing.
Just get in there. Get it over with. And she just knows that my testosterone levels are so high. I'm climbing the walls. I'm driving her crazy. And for medicinal purposes, I've got to get she's got to get it over with. She's got to get it over with. So
how many kids?
I don't drive her nuts. 3.
She's had sex with China Phillips at least 3 times that we know of, and I'll put the wedding night in there. So in 22 years, you've had sex 4 times,
at least.
There's a lot of people that are 22 listening to this podcast that have only had sex 3 times.
Yeah, but I want to ask you about sex with your wife.
Nikki Cox.
The cruel. That's your wife?
You didn't know who my wife was?
Nikki Cox.
Yeah. Do you want to hear the best story about your brother Alec?
Yeah.
I called him to see if he could be in a movie I was producing, and he couldn't. And he goes, "Let me tell you something. If this sitcom I'm doing takes off, I don't care about anything. I'm just gonna get paid. I have no artistic integrity left." I go, "All right." And he goes, well, "How have you been? What's going on?" I go, "I'm getting married." He goes, "Why would you ever put your hand back in the garbage disposal again?" And I go, "I'm in love. Like, I'm completely in love. Like, I'm nuts." And he goes, "What does she do?" I go, "She's an actress." And he goes, "Oh, my God. A real actress or is she a waitress?" I go, "She's a real actress." He goes, "Is she a movie, TV?" I go, "She's on a show right now." He goes, "What show?" He had just been a guest on Las Vegas.
Right.
And I go, "She's on Las Vegas." And he goes, Which one?"
Uh-oh.
He goes, "Blonde, brunette, or redhead?" I go, "The redhead." He goes, "You're marrying Nikki Cox?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Forget everything I just said."
Of course.
I got the seal of approval.
Yeah.
From the big man.
And he just got remarried to a 27-year-old yoga instructor.
And what? But
when you're 55,
dogward down.
Yeah.
Dogward down. Lift the leg. Dogward down.
Yeah. But here's the cool trick.
You want to ask me questions about sex, you said.
Yeah. God played this incredibly unkind trick where women want emotional intimacy in order to achieve sexual intimacy.
Not my house. It's the opposite in my house.
Okay, well, my wife and most women want emotional intimacy as a form of foreplay to achieve sexual intimacy. And for guys, especially a caveman like me, I tell my wife, I break it down real simple. I said, spend quality time with the kids, make me a BLT, and have sex with me twice a week, and there'll never be a complaint. Good time with the kids.
I think it's the ordering her to make you a sandwich that kind of takes a little of the lust out of it.
I don't know that the BLT is a sandwich. That's the sex position, right?
No. Okay, I'll clarify this. It's quality time with the kids. Make any sandwich. It doesn't have to be a BLT.
Wait, the wife has to have quality time with the kids.
Yeah. The family has to. I want my wife and I to have quality time together or with the kids or whatever.
What would she be doing otherwise?
Family time.
Hanging out with Carney Wilson?
I want to have like some home cooked meals with the family. I want to help her, and I want to have some, and I want to have sex a couple times, within every 72-hour window. I have to have sex.
I think that's entirely fair.
And I said, you'll never have another complaint out of me. Those 3 things. But the problem is with sex. A lot of times, in order for me to get to that place where I want to have that emotional intimacy, that comes like within seconds after having an orgasm. Yeah. Not in like the 2 hours like leading up to the orgasm. So the girls want the emotional intimacy prior to the intercourse.
Yeah.
And the guys can get if you just get it over with quickly, you're going to get me to behave the way you want me to behave in terms of emotional intimacy. Just fuck me.
My wife is the Baldwin in that situation, and
You're a lucky man.
And I'm China Phillips. My wife.
You're so full of crap. I believe you about your wife. So, okay, tell me what that means. Translate that for
I
me.
have very low libido. I'm very attracted to my wife. I have no wants, nothing. I don't go out. I don't want to do anything. Like, I don't get turned on by other chicks. A wall went up as soon as I met my wife. That was mine forever. I'm in, right? But when I have sex, I literally am like, kiss my neck a little.
Really?
And I want her to tell me she loves me because that gives me a super hard on. When I feel like my wife really wants to have sex with me, when she makes the overture, like in the middle of the night, 2 a.m, if she reaches out and touches me and like just kind of starts kissing my face, I'm like, oh shit, somebody wants to fuck me. This is crazy. My wife wants to have sex.
See, that's...
And my wife, and I quote, I'll say, do you want to have sex? And she'll go, can you make it really quick?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll do my best.
Help me out?
I'll do my best. I said that like Colin. I'll do my best to make it as quick as possible, But in my house, this is no joke whatsoever, she's totally the guy. She's like a 15-year-old gay guy, the libido of like a 16-year-old twink. And I'm always like, well, hold on, slow it down a little bit. Put the sweatpants back on, and let's hang out.
I didn't want to say this, but your wife and me should hang out.
Yes.
Yeah, because we were made for each other. and you and my wife can hang out.
If your wife had her way, how often would China have sex with you?
Once a month.
Is it because
that's an exaggeration? Twice a month.
Is it because of childbirth? Once you pass a bowling ball through the vaginal
3 times
through the canal, you're like, oh, that's what makes this happen. This is terrible.
Like, I'm bending over backwards. I'm like standing on my head. I'm like, jumping through fiery hoops. I'm juggling chainsaws here to try and my wife's like one of those old, you grew up in Jersey. You ever have one of those secondhand cars in the wintertime? It's freezing cold. You have to go out and start it up and you can't get it to turn over. In the dead of winter, you're like, and then finally, you get that. So it takes it's like 11 degrees out. And you can't, But I am.
Your wife's like an old car.
I'm jumping through hoops.
You're a Ferrari.
And by the way, my wife, when she tells her girlfriends like the stats are good. The stats are good. I mean, every time, even when she's taking one for a team for medicinal purposes, she's having at least 2 orgasms.
My wife's the same way.
She talks to her friends and they're like, "You're a what?" And he's doing what to you? And he's doing when I tell you I'm like playing Twister. To get it to happen, I'm playing Twister. I'm like,
it is weird because for a lot of female listeners to more stories, like Billy Baldwin, you're a very desirable young man. And your wife's acting like she's married to like some fucking schmuck from Patchogue.
Yeah, Joe the plumber.
Joe the plumber from Patchogue. And you're not. You're from where?
Massapequa.
You're large. You're not some Patchogue guy.
I'm Matza Pizza.
What is this, Levittown?
Exactly. What is this? Amityville.
What is this, Amityville?
What is this? Wyandanch.
Hey, come on, honey. Hey, Gigi, I need it twice a week, you pig.
Is it? Malvern. So wait a second. Can I talk about your video for a second? I'm not lying. My father died 30 years ago.
Hold on. We're going to go from having sex with our wives and them having orgasms to your dead father. That's
I thought we were done with
choose?
that. We could keep going. No, we can keep talking about sex and not even talk about the video. That's fine.
How long? I do want to get to the video.
How long? Whoa.
How long is sex when you have it after 22 years of marriage? And I'm going to preface this. I'm going to let you off the hook. I would say if sex with my wife goes 2 minutes, it means because like my penis doesn't work. It's like a 40-second situation, and everybody's happy.
Are you talking about from start to finish or just intercourse?
Penetration to finish is probably 22 seconds in its entirety, and that's with 2 orgasms. So my wife's better than your wife at crushing the big O.
I'll give her that.
You know why? 4 other guys in the room at all times.
Doing?
Just watching.
I would say from start to finish.
I wish right
we
now
have a certain way in which we do it that doesn't it kind of slows everything down.
Why? Because she's like the old car that needs to be warmed up.
Little Jiffy Lube.
There's certain. My kids are going to hear this someday, aren't they?
No. It's the internet. It dies quickly. It doesn't live forever.
All right. Good. Promise.
Yeah.
No, there's certain ways in which you manipulate the G spot where it can't be like it can't be like that Castrol commercial where the pistons are firing 5,000 times per second.
Billy Baldwin, every analogy you have, your wife's a car.
Yeah, exactly. So
Maybe stop treating her.
mine would normally, if I were the Pennzoil piston, I would last about 20 seconds as well. But
I don't know what any of this means. When you penetrate your wife, how long until you're done and walk into the room?
It depends on how often I'm getting it. If I got it 3 times that week and we're doing it again, it could be 15 minutes.
15 minutes is crazy. My wife would think something was wrong.
No, but if it's normally, if I haven't been late in 3 years, normally if I haven't gotten it in a while, it's, I don't know, 5 minutes.
Let's talk about your dead
3
father.
minutes, 3.5 minutes. I'll measure and I'll text
I understand your father died.
Yeah, recently.
I tried to do another
1983.
weird segue.
83.
How old were you when your father died? And now,
19.
It was a big joke to have a weird, wacky segue, but you did it first. I don't want people to think I'm that fucking cold-hearted. You were 19?
Mm-hmm.
Who was the youngest Baldwin?
Steven.
And how old was he?
He was 15 or 16.
That's the hardest, right? Is it harder on him or 19? It's still the same.
Probably harder on him. He was in 10th grade or something.
And he's born again?
Yes.
You know, I think that's a lot of people give this kid shit for Biodome, sure. For saying Paulie, sure, that's a good. I'll hitch my wagon to that. Yeah, give him shit for that. But to have a set of beliefs and principles that you want to go down the line with, and it makes you live your life a right way, and you no longer do the stupid things that you used to do, myself included. Fucking celebrate that.
Yeah, a lot more good has come out of this than bad. Again, kind of like sometimes my brother Alec. If when I was the president of the Creative Coalition, my Christopher Reeve was, and my brother would get on Bill O'Reilly and say exactly the same thing, like almost verbatim, the same argument, almost the same talking points as Christopher Reeve, and my brother would come under more attack because of the way he presented those talking points and presented those.
What, with ambulatory legs?
Yeah. He would just he would just break out a sledgehammer and launch grenades, And Christopher Reeve would do it more like a gentleman. So my brother Steven.
No, that's not why. It's because Christopher Reeve was in a wheelchair and had a tube in his throat.
No, this is before he had his accident.
Oh, then I take back the.
Yeah. I was wondering
why is he hiding the mic to laugh at what I say? Because it was distasteful.
So my brother Steven, with his faith too, it depends on.
Doesn't the whole family have faith?
It's what you say, but it's also how you say it. I think if you package it the right way, you won't sort of,
I know the disconnect that you're talking about,
Steven.
Me, I'm a Christian.
Like Steven came to my house for Thanksgiving one time, and he put his hands on my guests at my Thanksgiving in my house, and they were Jewish. And he was trying to convince them to convert to Christianity. And I said, you know what? If this is your Thanksgiving and we're a guest at your house and you want to do that to one of your guests at your house, it's cool. But you don't really even know my friends, and you don't know what kind of boundary you're crossing with them. It's a little bit inappropriate. It's like, well, do you think they mind it? Do you think did I offend them? Are they upset with me? And I said, it was a little bit off-putting. I mean, it was a little bit uncomfortable, not only for them, but for everybody else in the room. And you shouldn't do that. If you want to do that in your home, fine. And even then, you should probably ask.
But how does he not know that that's crossing the line? Is he like a knucklehead?
Because when you hang out with people that are like-minded and think the same way, and you're in the room with those people all the time, there's an evangelical calling to go out and sort of spread the word and spread the faith. Sure. And you think, even if somebody disagrees with you, that they're not going to be offended by it. But sometimes people are like, wait a second, I'm Jewish. I'm not.
Do the Jews at your house play in the Baby Jesus Bowl, or do they sit that one out because they don't believe he's the Son of God?
No, they're still fans, big fans. They're up there with Jesus.
What?
They're still fans of Jesus.
They're fans. Jesus Shuttlesworth?
They're big fans of Jesus. They just believe that his time is yet to come.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
But they don't know his name's going to be Jesus. You guys have the Jesus Bowl.
Yeah. They're okay with it.
All right.
Yeah.
So they put their personal religious beliefs aside just to get in on a Baldwin football game. I think that's a little.
You know the Jews. I mean, come on.
Jesus.
Come on. Seriously. How many? Come on. You grew up in Jersey. How many Jewish friends did you have that had a friggin' Christmas tree?
All of them.
Right. I rest my case. Do I go around celebrating Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah as an Irishman? No.
You have the
day
off.
Do they celebrate? All the Jewish guys I know put the dreidel and they put the menorah, and then they still get pissed off at the Italians and the Irish. Like, why do they get the tree? And why do they get the lights outside the house? And why do they get all the presents? So then they put the tree up. I mean, come on. It ain't right. It ain't right.
I think the disconnect with Steven is
We're back to Steven again.
yeah, because no, it's the same conversation. The disconnect. I converted to Catholicism like 6 years ago. I was Presbyterian and I switched over. I just dug it. I found a great St. Monica's in
Great
Santa Monica.
Great
Love
church.
it.
7th in California,
Yes.
I think.
And I'm a Christian, but I never feel the need to recruit you. I don't give a
Well,
shit
that's a
what
big
you
calling.
do.
That's a big calling.
It's a big calling, but
in
to
the
spread the
Christian
word
faith.
with actions of just simply being kind and doing your thing. But when the evangelical side, they don't tell me I'm doing it wrong.
Right, correct. And I don't have a problem with the evangelical calling. Just so it's like you have to know your audience. You have to know when you're crossing a certain boundary that may not be appropriate. And Stephen has learned that. Back at my Thanksgiving 10 years ago, he hadn't quite gotten the message.
That's got to be weird to have a born again Christian in the family. Like
No,
always.
we've had him in my family for
really?
decades.
Really?
Decades. Yeah, my mother's sister who just passed away, an amazing, amazing woman, my Aunt Louise. We would have like family reunions in the 60s and early 70s on her farm up in Casanova, and they'd have a big tent and there'd be like 150 people there, and she would have us all come into the tent and she would start to do like a service, and then somewhere in the service she'd break out in tongues, and then every kid in the tent would run out of the tent like their hair was on fire. They were like totally freaked out. Like Aunt Louise was speaking.
Which is basically just an Adam Sandler impression when you speak in tongues.
Yeah, anyway, my Aunt Louise just passed away. She's a great, lovely woman, and I have all the respect in the world for her.
So do I. Yeah. Wrestling video that you and I touched base about this. It's kind of how we started texting back and forth. We're sexting now, you and I.
Yeah, I know you sent about the cocoa butter and your house in the Palisades.
I did say
yeah.
that. He's not kidding.
Yeah.
I told him, you can do it at my house. We can do it with our shirts off in cocoa butter. I was just trying to make you laugh up there. And
it worked.
Your
totally
fancy
worked.
palace.
I try to come back, and no pun intended with the comeback, but I try to come back and I don't remember what I said, but it had something to do with my wife and sex and stuff like that, and I never heard from you. You just like left the black hole out there.
That to me
Did you get that video, that YouTube video about that black chick in New York, about the heat wave in New York City right now?
I don't see color.
Yeah. No.
I got it, but it's on my phone. I gotta wait.
You gotta watch it.
I will, but
funny.
I gotta wait. When I open emails on my phone, it's the worst idea. I gotta take AOL off my phone.
The video, the wrestling video.
I'll watch it. All right. So the wrestling video, I did a rant about saving Olympic wrestling. I had no idea that you had. He's just telling us how much time. I had no idea how much you loved Olympic wrestling and I didn't know you were a wrestler. When you were a Baldwin, you're just a Baldwin.
I knew you were.
Really?
Yeah, because I know everybody in our business that is a former wrestler.
Who?
Like almost
Give me
everyone.
some.
Tony Danza, Jay Leno.
What about my singlet?
Tony Danza, Jay Leno. Every one of these guys gave us.
Jay Leno was a wrestler?
Jay Leno wrestled. Like junior high school stuff. Like once you get to a certain point, like 10th grade when boys are.
Well, I wrestled at Iowa for Dan Gable, and sometimes I lie.
Yeah, don't let the truth stand in the way of a good story.
Yeah, and Gable used to tell me, JJ, I think you might be the guy that doesn't cut weight. Don't cut weight. All right, so I did a wrestling monologue on my radio show, Fox Sports Radio, and it got picked up. Some guy was it in Iowa?
Yeah, some guy in Iowa, like
made
a high school.
a video. If you Google search Jay Mohr Olympic Wrestling, you can see this. This guy did an incredible job.
Fantastic. Let me just riff on this for 1 second. A, it's fantastic. Really fantastic. B, you're like now a total hero and a god in that subculture. Like
I am?
Iowa, Oklahoma State, John Smith, Dan Gable, Bruce Baumgartner. They all think you're king. Don't be surprised if Leroy Smith tries to induct you into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame now as a result of it. I got inducted in 2003.
Why?
Because they have a special division
you
of
won
it
that Battle Royale
that's called.
when you
I won
tossed
the
the
Massapequa
British-
Christmas tournament, man. What are you talking about?
You took the British Bulldogs and threw them over the top
No,
rope?
they have a division called Outstanding Americans for guys who ever wrestled who went on to achieve any success in another field. Donald Rumsfeld, Dennis Hastert, Mario Lopez. Now there's a bunch of showbiz people that wrestled in high school or college that went on to succeed on Wall Street or in politics or in show business. So believe me, I will not give them your number because you're going to be the next call they make. But let me
don't give them my number.
In that
What do you mean?
video,
Whoa, why would
because you have to go to Stillwater, Oklahoma. If you get inducted, I'll go. I will induct you. I will be the guy that does the whole presentation.
Yes, but why are you keeping that? I'm like, don't worry, I'm not going to hang you up on this and give them your number. Give them my number. Fucking Dan Gable inducts me into the rest of the
Oh, they'll all be there. They'll all be there.
What about Kale? Seems a little high and mighty.
Yeah, he's the best.
He is the best. Literally, he's undefeated.
Yeah. But let me say, there's a couple of moments in that video, and I'm not lying. I said 30 years my father died. I never screw around when I say I'm like my father's grave, I swear. I've watched that video. How many times do you think I've watched that video?
I have no idea.
Take a guess.
I feel like the old Brian Regan
10
joke.
times, 15
70
times?
million.
I'm guessing more times than you have sex with your wife in a month.
Oh, yeah, way more. I've watched it like 40, 50 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's more than me.
Yeah, I've watched it like
and it's a video of
and
me.
I'm telling you, if my wife's there, if my kids are there, if Cal Sanderson and Bruce Banner, like the biggest, toughest, meanest guys with cauliflower, and no matter who's standing there, I get verklempt. My eyes well up with tears almost every time. I think there's 2 or 3 times I watched it where I didn't get choked up. Every time I watch it.
Oh, thank you, brother.
And there's things that you say in that. The 2 things that I love the most is when you say, we were degenerates, we were bad kids, and it wasn't until our coaches taught us a couple of moves and how to defend ourselves and blah, 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 blah. That I love that. That I love that.
Yeah.
And then, you show these crowds of people at the NCAA.
I know the other part you like.
What?
I guarantee I know you now.
Go ahead.
And for what? To get your hand raised.
That's exactly right.
In front of 23 parents
New Jersey.
in Booton, New Jersey.
When it's free, because every
it's
time
20
you
below
say
zero.
that, when I'm watching with somebody, I don't say that. I just tap them on the shoulder and I tap and go, this is me. This part that he's about to say, this is me. Because remember, when you were a kid, I wrestled in junior high school, and in college. I wrestled Division III in college. And
I didn't know there was a Division III.
Yeah, there is. It's pretty good.
That's like the minor leagues of the minor leagues.
Yeah. But there's good guys.
You can't break a guy's balls if he agrees with you.
No, but
I wanted you to defend yourself. Like, it's still
it's good wrestling.
It's very impressive, and I'm completely kidding. Go ahead.
So I would wrestle, and it didn't matter if anybody was there. If there was there could be 10, 15, 20 parents there. When the match was over and you unsnapped your headgear and the referee raised your hand and you looked around, and it could just be like you and your coach, your teammates could have said, Baldwin, I know what he's going to do. I'm out of here. I'm in the lot. I mean, just to get your hand raised. And I grew up in the same thing as Booton, just on the other side of the city. I grew up in Massapequa, and we would be wrestling in Freeport and Lindenhurst and Copiague.
Port Jefferson guys were good, man.
Yeah, and to get my hand raised, it's like if it happened in front of 2,500 people or if it happened in front of 5 people, it was all about that glory of just getting your hand raised.
Now, you are really bending over backwards, breaking your balls to save Olympic wrestling. You put your money where your mouth is. You put calls out to these people. I want to promote this for my listeners. What is it that they can go to or listen to?
KeepOlympicWrestling.com is the website. We're going to have some stuff up. A press release is going to go out, and we're going to have an auction on eBay. And I've got items from Mark Ruffalo, Mario Lopez, Ashton Kutcher, Channing Tatum, the Rayo's, the restaurant in New York City. I've got Dana White. I've got Randy Couture. I just got Chris Weidman. I just talked to his manager last night.
Middleweight champion of the world, my friends.
Bones Jones. I mean, we've got a bunch of really, really, really cool stuff. My brother
you win
Alex
Johnny Bones Jones's toe.
Yeah, I got a Buscemi gave me a walk-on role to Boardwalk Empire.
How do I get in on that? How do I want?
Buscemi.
I want to do something.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to launch. It's going to be online, and I'm going to raise a lot of money for it. But you have to tell me what you're willing to allow me to auction.
You said on the radio show co-host for a week.
No, for an hour. Have somebody come in and do you could have them.
How about for the day?
For a show, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, because I can tease it a week out that the person's coming in.
Yeah.
And the next day go, that was fun when so and so won that thing.
Right.
Save Olympic Wrestling.
Keep OlympicWrestling.com.
Okay, keep not save. Keep OlympicWrestling.com.
Yeah.
And this is really great. I didn't even know you were a wrestler, and it turns out you were a great wrestler. And I was making fun of you earlier, but even to wrestle, this is what people say when a UFC fight happens. They go, well, this guy wrestled Division I, this guy wrestled Division III. It doesn't matter. They know the same fucking moves. You know what I mean? So, kudos to Division III.
Did you just extemporaneously riff that entire thing?
All of it off the top of my head.
And in that video, what percentage of your rant is in that video? Is that 90% of it? It's probably 3 or 4 minutes.
It was an 11-minute segment.
So they took out, because there's a couple parts where you finish a sentence and start another sentence, and it's not an exact match. So they must have put the scissors in there.
And the guy did a great job.
He did.
And do you know this guy?
Job.
This guy hasn't got in touch with me. Nothing.
No. I'll find out through Gable's office. And I mean, I'm on the committee to preserve Olympic wrestling with John Smith. He's 4-time world champion, two-time,
the founder of the Mormon religion.
No, you know Leroy Smith and John
Yeah,
Smith.
of
John
course I do.
Smith won the Olympics twice, and he's the head coach at Oklahoma State. And
Is Jordan Burroughs going to get in this?
he's going to be back for Rio, and he's going to win again.
But is he going to help save
he
Olympic
is.
wrestling?
He is, but he's focused on
How
his training
weird
right
is
now.
it that to save Olympic wrestling, it's Iran and the Soviet Union? Like, there's no way Putin is letting Olympic wrestling go away.
Right. I mean, I wrote an article. I don't know if I ever sent it to you. I wrote an article for the Huffington Post a couple of weeks ago when the vote was passed
Liberal
in St.
douchebag.
Petersburg.
What?
In St. Petersburg, they voted through. There was 8 sports that were in the finals, and they passed 3 through. Squash, baseball, and wrestling have been passed through to a vote in
You
September.
sent it to me and you said, look, we made it. We made
In
the cut.
September, there's a vote where only one of those 3 in Buenos Aires, and the full assembly of the IOC voting members, like 150 members, will vote and only choose one sport.
Billy, let me tell you
and
something.
it should be wrestling.
If Vladimir Putin wants wrestling, which we know he does,
Right.
he's crazy. He's a Bond villain. He's the best. If Vladimir Putin wants Olympic wrestling, there's no way it ain't happening.
Well, here's the problem. Let me just. 'Cause I'm on the inside with this, and I hear a lot of interesting stuff. Let me just clarify your point. Wrestling did what no American president has been able to do in the last 70 years, and that's bring Russia and Iran and the United States to the table with the same
And into Grand Central Station.
Yeah, with the same agenda and the same goals and the same objectives, all on the everybody on the same page. Nobody's been able to do that.
Iranian
since,
wrestlers, Russian wrestlers, United States wrestlers, and fans of all and foreign are in Grand Central Station having a wrestling match.
Here's the deal. NBC paid $4.33 billion for the Olympics, okay? The average age demographic for the television viewing audience for the Olympics is going to age from like 34 to 39 in the next couple of Olympics. What do they do to deal with that? Because
wouldn't it be 4 years, though? Wouldn't it go from 34 to 38 since the Olympics every 4 years?
I don't know how they do their math, but over the next couple of Olympics, the average demo is going to age down. Okay, let's just say 38.2. I have no idea. So to appease you.
Okay.
So what do? They bring in Shaun White in the half pipe, the Flying Tomato, X Games. They make it younger because the Flying Tomato. They have to make the advertisers where they recoup all their money. If they're selling products to an average demo that's 29, 32, 34, they're thrilled. If the average demo is 39, 40, those people don't spend money. That anybody that's over 40, they see the ads and they don't spend money. If you're 32, you see the ad and you go spend money.
I call bullshit
so
on
the
that.
The advertisers, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they claim.
It can't be. You're
So the
over 40, I'm
advertisers
over 40. We see something and we go buy it.
The advertisers tell NBC they want to bring the demo down. The NBC tells the IOC we got to bring the demo down. So the IOC tells
International Olympic Committee.
The IOC tells FILA, the governing body that represents wrestling, to the IOC, you have to modernize the game. And they've been warning, and wrestling has this attitude. So I don't want to blame the IOC only. I want to blame FILA, the governing body that represents wrestling, to FILA, to the IOC. They've been warned for years now. Make adaptions, change the rules, modernize the sport. How do
you modernize wrestling?
Well, they just did it. I'll tell you what. Wrestling kept saying, we've been in every games in the modern game since 1896. We've been in every game since 807 BC. We've been in Olympic sport for 3,000 years. We're beyond reproach. We're untouchable. Go scratch. Well, guess what? This is what the IOC has now done to get their attention. And what they just did is they just revamped the rules and the rules changes that they've had ever since that Grand Central match. The referees are trying to prepare to catch up because all the rules have changed and it's all pro-aggression, rewarding the
more
aggressor.
More freestyle, less Greco-Roman.
More point scoring. So you're getting into matches, freestyle Greco-Roman matches where the scores would be like 4-1 or 5-2, and now the matches are like 15-11.
Yeah.
So that's what did they do in baseball? When baseball they juiced, they juiced the ball.
Hitter and
they juiced the bat, they juiced the ball. That's what they're doing. They're kind of juicing the ball in wrestling so that there's more offense, there's more aggression, there's more point scoring, and scoring in a way that the audience watching. No, I mean wrestling. I know wrestling, and I go to matches over the last couple of years, and something happens, and I elbow the guy next to me. I'm like, what was that? If I'm saying that, they have a big problem. Do you ever see Olympic wrestling where they go into a bag and they pull out a red ball or a blue ball?
Yeah.
You've seen that in wrestling now? I don't even know what that means. And they've been doing it in Olympic. They've gotten rid of all that stuff. Where they pick out a ball
it used to be that giant wooden coin they would flip, red or green.
But now wrestling also did it like tennis in sets. If you win rather than cumulative score over all 3 periods, they went to a system where if you win the first period, you win that period. If you win the second period, it's over because you won 2 out of 3 periods. So if I wrestled you,
that's like judo
and you
scoring,
won the
isn't
first
it?
period,
Yeah.
you won that period. And if I won the second period, it was 1-1, and we'd have a tiebreaker in the third period. If you won the first 2 periods,
it's over.
Then it's over.
And that's
but
not
now
cool.
they don't. Now they do a cumulative score. They just do whoever has the most points at the end of 3
Well,
periods.
that's how it should
wins.
be.
Yeah,
that's good.
And they give 2 points
I
for a
never liked
takedown.
riding time. I didn't like just the fact that you were on top of a guy that you can get points.
You got to watch this kid Kyle Dake from Cornell. He just won the national championship.
Wow, yeah,
fourth year in a row.
4 years in a row,
weight
national
classes.
champion. We have watched him.
Yeah, he just wrestled Jordan Burroughs at the World Team Trials. I was there. I was doing that. I called it on NBC. I did the color commentary.
How did it go?
Burroughs wrecked him and teched him in the first time. And the finals for the World Team Trials is best out of 3. So they wrestled not best out of 3 periods, best out of 3 matches. And he teched him 7-0 very, very quickly in the first match. And in the second match,
7-0 is a shutout. I've only heard that in ping pong at the
But by
community
the way,
pool.
that's another rule they got to get rid of. The new international rules is a tech is 7 points. You can't do that.
It used to be
tech,
15
A
when
tech
I was
has
in
to
high
be
school.
10 or 12 points minimum.
Yeah.
You can't put Kyle Dake and Jordan Burroughs on the mat and have it end 45 seconds into the third period.
Well, let me ask you something.
People
Jordan
are paying too
Burroughs-
much money.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well, they want to watch it. They want to see people wrestle.
But you don't want Kyle Dake to be humiliated. Over what do you want it to get to 14-5?
No, but there's been matches that I've watched in this tournament where people were down by 4 or 5 points, and then they came back to win by
cool as hell.
by 4 or 5 points. You know what I mean? Got to let it breathe.
You got to let it breathe. Billy, what do you want to promote? Were you promoting KeepOlympicWrestling.com? I'm so fired up about this, and you will text me Oklahoma Fieldhouse, and it's my video.
You were playing on the jumbotron as the stands were filling. The Gallagher Hall holds about 6,000 or 7,000 fans. They had a sellout crowd there, and they played that video periodically throughout the 2 or 3 days of wrestling. They played that.
Did
video.
people like it?
Oh, they love it.
I think I need to do some stand up in Iowa and Oklahoma.
Yeah,
nice big theater.
You're big in Dubuque.
We'll call it the Singlet Tour. You're big in Dubuque. KeepOlympicWrestling.com. Billy Baldwin, you walk the walk, my friend. Fun to talk to you. And you drove all the way down from Santa Barbara just to do my podcast?
Of course.
What are you going to do the rest of your day?
I'm going to drive right back and take care of my kids. My wife is off. She's doing a show in Palm Springs tomorrow night, so I got to get home and...
Oh, they're back. They're up and running.
Oh,
is that because of Bridesmaids?
They're playing all over the place.
Bridesmaids did
that
give them a kick
and
in
a
the
new
ass.
record, and my wife doing Dancing with the Stars. She did Dancing with the Stars for like a half a season.
She looked great, man.
And I think all of that sort of awareness. But they just played Miami, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Dallas, New York, LA. They're on their way to Chicago, Dubuque. They're playing in Traverse. They're all over the place. It's on their website. But they're playing, the usual, the circuit. I mean, because you're on the circuit. But all the bands now, they don't make money selling records anymore. They make money with live performances. And with 3,000 Indian reservation casinos.
The best.
And all of these, a couple of corporate gigs.
Ask your wife this for me. When you play an Indian casino, they come to you backstage after the show with a suitcase of money. And whatever let's say you get 10 grand, hypothetical. Again, we're making up numbers. I come to you and you get 10 grand to do a stand up. They'll open the suitcase and show you 10 grand. Like it just came out of the bank. And they go, how much cash do you want? And you're like, no, I just want a check. Because they know if you get cash, you're going to go piss it away in the casino.
Right.
They're very smart.
My wife just did a casino gig where I did this. I did Fairway to Heaven, that MTV golf tournament years and years ago when I went to Vegas. And when I finished it, you probably had this happen to you before. You should get this every time. And they gave me $1,000 worth of chips, and they said, "We want our guests to see you out on the floor."